Yes, they did it, everyone. They did announce what we offered, of course, Mushoku Tensei Season 2, and I couldn't be more excited. Finally, right, the greatest anime ever has to finally announced. You know, I was like, oh, I was waiting for, of course, today, the OVA come out as well. But first of all here, now they have announced Season 2, right? Anime, come on! It's been the most popular anime last year. Like, it honestly won every people vote ever, right? And it's so good that even though some people, right, hate it, you can see some links below for some other videos where female hates it, woman hates it, transgender hates it, you know, even if someone hate Tensei, right? Even though it's so controversial, still, it's so incredibly popular, right? To some extent, I guess controversial makes it more popular. It's a little Barbara Streisand effect, right? If everyone is complaining about something, if you're like, maybe I should check it out. Yeah, everyone keeps hating this. Everyone's like, this Ghislaine woman with big titties, everyone hates her. I wonder why, yeah. This like Rudy guy with pants in his face. So certainly, right. But come on, it's the best anime last year. It sold great, right? Opposite expands and makes the novel sell more and so on. Today, then later on, it's going to have the Goblin Stereo rate, which I've read on Red of course, and reviews and so on. So I was happy because I've watched the announcement here. So this is from the voice actors, Rudy's voice and so on, you know, talking about playing the characters and so on. And then eventually, in the end of this stream, just like 10 minutes ago, so they're very fresh, right? They finally, of course, put up this big old banner. And I was like, yeah, Season 2, baby. Season 2. So anyway, I just want to announce that, right? You know, freaking awesome. Love doing these kind of update videos where I'm like, yeah, finally, something good is happening in the world. Finally, the world is on track to be better. But yeah, Mushoku Tensei, it's been very interesting, right? And I say it here again, I keep, not just because like, oh, please check out my other videos, but I really think it's been interesting, this aftermath, right? So the anime ended airing about 2.5 months ago, I guess, yeah, roughly speaking, right? And of course, at that time, it was really controversial, you know, and so on. Extremely popular, of course, best anime, right? Best anime last year. Obviously, my #1 in my top 10, right? But then we had, I don't say it here if you haven't been up to date, right? I think it's been interesting these last 2 or so months then, because now we had all these like anime awards of this thing and that thing and so on, right? And people are gonna, you know, vote and discuss animes, right? And it'd be so funny seeing how, I guess in a way you can see it as like corporations, right? The companies, Crunchyroll, Funimation one, they're like, oh, this anime is disgusting, yeah, it doesn't even exist, right? I think mostly, for example, as I mentioned earlier in another video, Crunchyroll's take on potential, right? Of course they hate it because of Rudy and errors and so on, right? And Ghislaine to some extent, etc. But their kind of take on it is to ignore that it doesn't happen. they kind of have like, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Like, yeah, they kind of have that take on it. Yeah, they're like, nah, this anime, no one voted for it. I mean, certainly they're rigged still, but it mostly feels like they take that plan. And I have to say that reminds me, to some extent, of Swedish culture, okay? You know, I'm a Swede, right? You know, basically, in my deep core personality trait, I am somewhat Swedish, right? No, but seriously, that's very, very Swedish. Check out PewDiePie talking about when he started becoming famous, right, in some of his videos. And for that matter, you know I know Felix, right? I mean, my best friend. No, but I actually went to the same school with PewDiePie, actually. I'm 1 year older, but I went to some university. And when he took, my second year, I took these economic classes. He went to the industrial economy track, and in my second year, when he was the first year, I had the same classes because I was like, I took that like management track or whatever, so I had to take some of their classes. But anyway, that's a longer video. But for example, check out his videos. It feels kind of similar to how to treat Rudy. I'm not even kidding, because he talks about how Swedish culture, and this is not to him, but for everyone in Sweden, that is kind of like, you know, as him, right? The Swedish media and so on, they just kind of ignore him, like he doesn't exist, you know what I mean? Yeah, they don't actually write, they used to write somewhat bad art about him, like 10 years ago or whatever, when he kind of started, but when he got too famous, SVT and so on, they just ignore him. You know, it's like he said that this, you know, this bad word or whatever, right? They don't even talk about this video. Yeah, they're just like, doesn't exist. Yeah, they cannot do that shit, beautiful. They're like, they have this kind of, and that's very, very Swedish. They have this like censorship by just pretending that it never happened. Yeah, I mean everything. So they don't report good stuff or bad stuff, you know. But he does, right? They just ignore it exists. Yeah, there is like existence doesn't exist anymore, and that is actually very, very, I would say, Swedish. If you are social pariah in Sweden, they're like, you don't exist anymore. Yeah, I think Sweden as a work culture too. In Sweden, I haven't worked overly much in Sweden, but of course I worked a few in Sweden, and I think that yeah, it's kind of the same thing at work too. Swedes are very much into like, it's called utfrysning in Swedish. So basically it's like they froze you out. You know, they exist. So you work at the company and people don't like you for a reason, right? They're not going to talk to you anymore. You're just going to pretend it doesn't exist, right? And it is some extent similar to Japanese culture too, where they don't give you new work assignments. This is what I wanted to quit, right? And that is honestly very Swedish. So this is like, they want you to quit by not doing anything, and no one talks to you anymore. So you just like you don't fire people, right? You just gotta have them here, but pretend they don't exist anymore. So no assignment, and no one talks to you at lunch break or whatever. Yeah, they just like there is something over there that we don't see anymore. That is very Swedish, honestly. But there's also one reason why is because it's so hard in Sweden to actually fire people. It's almost impossible. It's incredibly hard to fire anyone. Even if you let them go, it's very hard, right? For redundancy, incredibly hard. But anyway, what I strive now, I do feel that's kind of how I've seen it for these last 2 months now, since the one ended, right? I feel they've treated this anime, especially Rudy, in a lot of these different bigger platforms, right? And also, of course, some YouTubers as well, whatever, right? They're like, this anime, I haven't heard about it. They're like, best animation? This anime doesn't even exist. Yeah, this exists. I think that has been, the most popular take, right? Because first it was all the controversially in the end of last year and then the beginning of this year. They're like, oh, Rudy's a perv and blah, 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 right? So that stuff. We had the Billy stuff. The Billy had to remove the anime because this like Chinese feminist army kind of. I'm not even joking. This feminist group right in China, the biggest one, went after the anime and they forced it to remove it. Caused some politicians, right, and all this stuff, right. But after that, I would say the last feeling I have now is that people are like ignoring it. They're like, no, it doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, they tried that like more aggressive, censoring aggressiveness, and now it's more like the Swedish frozen strategy. No, this doesn't. There's something over there. Yeah, don't. It's like this thing, right? Very Swedish. Yeah, like this thing. I don't see anything else. It's just this only this. Yeah, they kind of freeze out everything else in the world. But anyway, I guess my last point I'm coming to is that, of course, I am very excited to season 2. I think it is the best anime last year. You already seen my top 10 video. It wins. Spoilers. Yeah, Tetsuya wins alright. You've seen. So obviously I've been saying this for many times now. I think Tetsuya is a masterpiece. And again then, my summary is that I'm really excited to see another season. Not just because it is the best anime in years, but also because it's the most controversial anime, more arguably in years too. So, intimacy review with maybe, yeah. So I was like, yeah. So for me, it's a double jackpot, right? It's a double jackpot of being insanely good and also insanely controversial. So I cannot wait to get more of just ladies and so angry editors and so on. Yeah, I cannot wait, baby. It's gonna be awesome. It's truly a masterpiece. But I have to say at the end, I want to emphasize that point. It shows you how good the anime is, right? That even though they are currently doing this, as I call it, the frozen strategy, utfrysning, Swedish, yeah. I don't know if it's in English. Basically, the ignorance strategy, it doesn't exist strategy, right? It still is growing in popularity, it's still growing in selling, yeah. So even if they're trying their best and their finest, right, to pretend it doesn't exist, right, it still is pushing forward. So that shows you how incredibly good it is. Word by mouth, right? The organic growth, yeah. The fans are strong, baby. The fans are strong, right? So that's awesome. Anyway, I'm excited. Hope you guys are excited. Subscribe to it's alright. It should be today. There's also the OVA. That's what I was waiting for. I will admit. First of all, no, I was kidding. I waited for this thing, but also I was hoping that their stream was going to show me both, of course, the OVA and the season 2 announcement. They did show some new images from the OVA, but because I read that the OVA was gonna be shown in this stream first. But they showed like maybe 10 images of it. So, now I'm a little confused. But maybe we get the OVA later tonight. That was what first said at least. The OVA is going to come today. And it's pretty common, right? You do an OVA with an announcement. So, PR stuff, right? And of course you sell some Blu-ray or you sell a new volume of either the manga or in this case the light novel, right? Or both. To push that, right? And one reason why I say lastly here, why I hope the OVAs are going to be badass is because OVAs, as I said last year or so on, are usually even more brutal, right? And the reason why is because OVAs are not released on TV. So, just a quick summary of it. OVAs, classic, right, are animes released on, you know, videotape, basically, like VHS tape, yeah, straight up, right? So OVAs were always more brutal. When I was a kid, you know, you bought like OVAs and they were like, it was sex, and it was R scenes, right, and it was blood and gore, because OVAs doesn't follow the same laws as the TV anime does, right? So when I was a kid, we basically only had OVA shows, right, because we didn't have anime on TV, right, we didn't have, but some of the VHS tapes you could buy, right, there was a few tapes you could buy. So those animes were way more brutal than they are today. Yeah, Urudoskin, guys, those were the animes we got for that kind of hentai-style animes when I was a kid. So they were very, very brutal, right? But facts and remains, right? When an anime company makes an OVA, it's usually more brutal because they know that they can show more, you know, titties, they can show more blood and so on. So I'm hoping that the Goblin Slayer Ares OVA is gonna be crazy brutal, right? Because I mean, it's a beautiful animated anime, and they can definitely push the boundary of what allows us to speak in that OVA. So that's my hope. I hope it's gonna be a badass OVA, maybe some Ares or something. Who knows? But it wouldn't surprise me because that's how they sell the OVAs. The OVAs are extra spicy. Yeah, they're extra spicy, right? So anyways, guys, see you guys. Have a great day. Could also go to Titan today. This comes to an end here, right?